Okay, so let's wait for a moment. I will set the screen a little bit before we get started. Okay. Of course, I need to make sure that the PowerPoint is moving, not just like the first time that we have a problem. Twice that I just talk with just the first page. Okay, I think that's set. Then we need to get started right now. Okay. Hi again. Hi everyone. Welcome to the class Consumer Behavior 2020 for the second semester. And this is the chapter number 5 or the 5th chapters for this course. So it's almost at the middle of the class because we have 14 chapters, so it's almost 7 chapters. But I hope you learn something that we try to teach you. I try to teach you from the overview of the consumer behaviors from your own perceptions. From last time we learned about personality and values, and for now we need to study a little bit more about yourself, which is attitude. So why we need to understand the attitude? Because actually attitude is very important for the consumer researchers, especially for the marketer who work with the people. Because understand the attitude, understand in terms of natures and the power of the attitude is the key point. Because the attitude can develop during the time. So when you were young, you might have some good attitude to some object. Then you can change the attitude from positive to be negative right now. And during the change, if the products that you using have something wrong, is this our marketer jobs trying to communicate about the product that the consumer using? What is wrong and how we solve that problem? So I would say if you can maintain the positive attitude towards the products or the object or service, that should be the key point for having the loyalty. If not, if you just ignore, if you just think maintain the attitude is nonsense, I would say you might have a problem in the long run because the attitude had the power. Think about this one. Many times you buy the products or you use some service. It must be just the attitude. Like, for example, you are a person who think about eco-friendly, like environment issues. So if you hear some people doing something bad for the product, like they use the products that is use the chemicals, contains a lot of bad things from the soils. So you feel like you develop the negative attitude towards the action that is not linked to your attitude. So then you just deny the product. Or if you have heard this word before, like GMO products, genetically modified uh, object. Like, for example, the corn that is GMO. The person who concerned about GMO issue, they will not buy it definitely because it might have some bad things into your body. So they develop the negative attitude toward the product that described as GMO. Then attitudes are complex more than we just thought. Like you might think, oh, this is good attitude, this is bad attitude. No, it's not like that. Actually, they have some process, and we have the key element or key component. So there are 3 key components for creating the attitude. We call ABC component. affects behavioral and cognitive. So we're going to talk about that quite soon. Then we form the attitude in several ways. So we can form the attitude according to learning theories that we learned last two times on chapter 3. This learning theory is named behavioral learning theories. We have classical learning theory, which is you need to pair with something and you need to repeat it. It's like Pavlov theories. And we have instrumental learning theories that we need to have the reward and we need to avoid to have the punishment. So that is the things too. The same thing because attitude is learning. So you're trying to have the good attitude. You, you want to have the reward to have the good attitude. So that is how we learn. And if you remember last chapter, we talked about the motivation as well. So in this chapter, I'm gonna present to you or with how the motivation can link to attitude forming. This is very interesting. Okay. Then not all time our attitude is stable, right? Because sometimes the things that you believe when you were young might change, as I just mentioned. But that's changed because your belief or your understanding is changed. Or you might have some function or some factors that make your attitude is unstable. Then normally if something unstable we have the mechanisms, we have the process to make it stable. So we're going to learn about that, how or what is the theories that we can explain to maintain our stable attitude. Then we use the attitude models to predict the overall attitude. So for the last subjectives, it's quite very complex. So in CB class, I just want to explain you some models that is commonly used. And if you want to know something more, you can take a look more in the details and then maybe you can study the master program, master degree, and then you focus on the attitude models. So this is all for the objective for these chapters. Let's talk about the first one. What is the definitions of the attitude? So, attitude is actually the general evaluation on any object. So, this can be you can have the attitude in all things around you, even the action, even the object, or even the people. So, both positive and negative attitude can be created. But not just like that. Sometimes we're gonna have neutral attitude too. Like you feel like it's okay, it's normal, it's so like that. But mostly what we're gonna have is just positive or negative. And why we're concerned about the attitude? Because it's trained to be last or it can stick with you for a long time. That is the reason why marketers need to focus on the maintain or the keep of the attitude because it can be forever or it can be for a long time. If your consumer have something bad in their mind at first, then you might have a problem because it's not easy to change too. And is the attitude trained to be predicted. So you can predict the result when you know the attitude of the consumers. That is, they're gonna purchase your products or not. So again, attitude is the general evaluation of anything. Then we're concerned about the attitude because it's trained to be last or it's keep for a long time, and also it can be predicted. It can be estimated in the future. So every time I just taught the attitude is general evaluation on any object. So the object that we concern right now is called attitude objects or a naught here, like a, and we have like zero at the end. So Attitude object is actually everything that you focus for having the attitude. Okay, the last sentence I already explained, but let's talk about these pictures. They said, don't get confused with the personality and the attitude. So they said, personality is who I am, like what you behave, like who you are. You are a fast thinking person. You are um, socialized person. That is personality. But they said my attitude is depend on who you are. So attitude is depends on the object. Like you have attitude towards me. You have attitude toward this class. You have attitude toward this teaching style. So it's different. But attitude have very important things that marketer need to be aware. Okay, so again, don't get confused between personality and the attitude. Okay, according to the previous slide that I talked, attitude can be last. So it's not just momentary. So it's not just happen and then you develop the attitude. So attitude is keeping or ongoing process. Like I'm the person who don't want to be in the place that have the loud noise. So how I develop it? I just think when I were young, I usually live in the quiet place. When my neighbor opened the radios, like the loud noise, I feel angry. Then I developed that one. Like I developed to don't like the sounds that is too loud. So, like this one, hearing a loud noise over time develop negative attitude to the loud noise. And like this time when I need to do something, is must be quiet place. I feel like if I sit or if I in the concert, I can't stand or I can be there for a long time because I develop the negative attitude to the loud noise. Okay, some even that can explain for this situation is like the way that you select a brand or we call product specific behaviors. Like actually you have good attitude in some brand. Like you might prefer dentiste toothpaste rather than Colgate. I'm the big fan of dentiste. I like the texture of the toothbrush of dentiste. It's quite soft, but it's still elastic. It's not quite hard. So I like that's one the most. Then this can be used to explain the consumption related behaviors. Like for example, if I have a good attitude to maintain my healthy dental situation like teeth. So how am I gonna do? I need to brush my teeth every time I eat something. So this make you have the behavior is different from the other people. So normally people might brush your teeth in the morning and before bed, right? But you might see some people brush their teeth almost every meal up like right after the meal. So maybe 3 or 4 times per day. So how do you do that? Because they have a good attitude toward the brushing their teeth. Then if you think the attitude has some effects to your preference or not, think about this one. Think about how you select someone to date, what type of music you're listening, or what is the things that you have when you think about recycle. So everything here is the power of the attitude. To be clear, like first one, the date. When you want to date with someone, you may have a framework, you may have a set of the attitude that you need to have. Like for example, if you are women, you might need you have a good attitude to the person who dress very nice. So in the daytime, if they wear just casual or just simple dress, you might develop the negative attitude because you have positive attitude to the good looking dress. Then it might link to the other things too, like the taste of the guys that you thinking. Like what is the favorite song? What is the favorite music? If they did not like the same thing as you might create something like negative attitude. It has been said like normally the girls might like the guys like that because many girls feel like when you want to have someone, it should he should be like your father. Well, I'm quite not sure about it, but for me, I'm thinking about my mom. So I tend to have a good attitude to the girls that have characteristic like my mom too. I like to have the person who have polite and direct manner. Like we can talk frankly, we can talk directly, but just a polite words, not just uh, talk something rude, but we and I'm looking the person who had reason. Like you don't use emotional issues more than just reason in some cases. Like sometimes you feel like your friends always use emotion. I think it's not quite good because sometimes we do concern both of them actually, but I'm trying to focus more reason more than emotion when you make the decision because I think it's more clear. But as I mentioned before, we should combine them together because sometimes emotion can can make us happy and can make us connected. But just reason sometimes is too plain, it's too not quite good for the relationship. So that is the attitude for me. Then let's talk about the function of the attitude. So we have a psychologist named Daniel Katz. So he is the psychologist who explained that the attitudes happen because it have some functions that you need to have. Like they serve some functions for the person, or the attitude can help you make something easy when you do some action in the society. Like when you live in the society, the attitude can help you to create something or to do something. So they also said if you know the motives of the people, you can determine the attitude. You can think about the attitude about him. Like, for example, person motives for me is like now I'm trying to provide you the knowledge that I need to provide in for this course. I have the motive that I will do my best. I will try to answer all email. I will try to answer all questions. So what is the attitude? You can determine my attitude, which is I gonna have a good attitude toward the teaching because I have very strong motives for taking care of the student like this one. Okay, so just example. So motives or motivations this can be the key point for many purchased and for many actions as well. So think about it carefully. Then they will say one thing of the functions of the attitude that you would concern, which is we can predict something in the futures from the attitude formation of the consumers. Like they will do the same thing because they developed the attitude in the past and we can predict it too. For example, if develop the good attitude in teaching, in here. Like all students enjoy, all students uh, love taking this class, or all students have the good result. So I develop the good attitude. And then what you can predict to me is in the future, like maybe next year, I keep doing the same thing because I have good attitude on it. So how is linked to the business world? Think about some people when they eat something that is delicious, and every time they go to that restaurant and they got the food that is delicious as they expected. So you can predict in the future, right? So they will order it again and again. So when I talk to a noodles shop, noodle owner, a person who work in the noodle shop, actually she is the owner. She said you can monitor and you can predict the purchase from the actions or even from the conversation. So she said you can know this the buyer gonna have good or bad attitude from the expression from talking. Then she can predict that this guy is gonna come again or not. If they say, I'm I like to have this one, I like the way that you doing. Oh, the soup is so great. So that is develop a good attitude. Then they definitely want to come and consume the noodles again. That is the explanation for this sentence. Then, not all people might have the same attitude toward some object. The reason might be different. Like some people want to have, like for example, some people like a bad-looking guys, like be not be quite polite or just have specific style, maybe not quite smile, just be look cool. I don't know. It's just be looking bad guys manner. Then some people think like some women like that type of the guys, but some like they like to have the polite guys and just quiet guys, not have more aggressive. So the same thing might have some different attitude because these two people have different reason. But if you know the reason behind it should be great. Like I ever have this one. My friend don't like bad looking guys. She said she developed the attitude to have the negative to this type of person because she ever have had ex-boyfriend like this before and she can't uh, trust this type of guys because he has another girl at the same time. So that is example. Then why we need to have these theories? Because attitude when it's changed, it can be changed forever. So marketer need to know when it's gonna be changed, or if you know it's just changed, you can solve that problem by providing more information or trying to use some strategies to change their attitude. Then Daniel Cass again, he mentioned about actually we have four type of functions of the attitude. So attitude can be formed as the utilitarian function. So again, I think you saw this word before. Utilitarian is about the use. So Daniel said, sometimes attitude can link to the reward that is the things that you want to have and the punishment that the thing you avoid. Like when you think about the attitude towards the vegetable consumption, some people love eating vegetable, so they have a good attitude toward the vegetable consumption because they think it's gonna good for their health. It have fiber, it have vitamins. But some people don't like to have vegetable any vegetable on the dish because it's not delicious. It's have the green smell, so they develop that negative attitude. So in this case, we call utilitarian function. Then we can have the attitude in terms of value expressive. For example, so sometimes you have the attitude in terms of the activity that you like, the interest that you focus, and also the opinion that you have in your mind. Like, for example, if you have the opinion for work hard, so hard working person, like you do a lot of work, you uh, pay attention on the work, so you're gonna have the attitude in terms of value expressive because you present that opinion to the other people. Then you can have ego defensive function as well. So attitude can develop to protect yourself from external threat or the things that bad outside or internal feeling. So some example is like when you having some exercise and you sweat, then your body gonna smell bad. So you feel like smell bad to the other people might not be good. So you develop this attitude in terms of ego defensive. Like you trying to use the deodorant or roll on to just reduce the bad smell from the body. So in this case, the attitude is developed or formed because of ego defensive function. And the last one, we can have knowledge function in terms of the attitude as well. So this type of functions is happen when the attitude is needed for order structures or meaning, for having a good situation in the society. In other terms, I would say knowledge function is like you think about being good guys in the society, being the correct guys in the society, or being the a good person in the society like that. So I type something more here. I said knowledge function is happen when you have unclear situation. So ambiguous is mean unclear. Like this is good for doing this one or not. For example, when you want to go to university, you need to stop at the red light in the on the intersection. But knowledge function gonna let you know like you need to stop at the red light, not just break the red light and go because it's it's not you did not follow with the laws and it might hit to the other car. So this type is the knowledge function, which is you need to do something that is good for the other people. So it's also say it's help the edit this type of functions can help to make the world more understandable. Like it's you're gonna have a good world if you have knowledge function. Okay. So uh, I think this some example for the functional theories of the attitude. Then, how we can apply the functional theories of the attitude to the real case? So they said marketers emphasize the benefit of the products, and then we can classify the consumer in segmentation or in cluster, like here. So the study of the football fan, then you found that they have three cluster of the consumer. The first one is the person who are diehard team fan. Like they crazy a lot about the team. Like some person crazy a lot about Manchester United. So this is our job to think what is the strategy that we can apply because we know that this type of people are a diehard fan or a big fan of the sport. So what we should know, we should provide a great knowledge. We should provide very deep seed of the information, like the way that we build this club, how we train the players, so how many champions that we receive, or sometimes you might invite them to talk with the person who are famous in the past or the current person who have a good result for the club. So this is diehard team fan. Then we also have the second cluster, which is the group of people who just enjoying or share the winning team. So they did not have quite a strong emotion like the first one. So you just provide and ask them to visit the team or just have some sessions for superstar of the team right now because they just want to have the winning situation. On the last one, if they just a group of people or group of the consumer who just looking for friendship, that means they did not care about the history. They did not care about something that is achieved in the past or how famous of this club, or even um, they want to cheer the winning team or not. No, they don't care anything. They just want to be together, just want to be have the friendship. So what you should provide, you just provide the parking area, you just provide the things that they need, which is not like the other two clusters. So I said here provide improve peripheral benefits. Peripheral benefit is like just simple things that they want. Like if they want to have the friendship, so you might create some space for them. You might set the table for them to talk and then they're happy. So this is example how functional theories can apply to the marketing strategy in the real case. Then I said attitude is not look simple, but it have some component or some combinations that you would think. The first one is affect. So affect is mean you have the feeling towards the object. Second one, we have behavioral. That mean intention. You have some intention to do something. Last one, cognitive. It's about belief that you have for the object. So it starts from A, B, and C. That is the reason why we call ABC model. So for now, we know that every attitude might compose or might create it from three components here. Like this one, I have a dog, like just one remaining dog in my house named Kalame. She is a black color dog mixed breed from Shih Tzu and Poodle. So right now she is around 17 years old. She's quite old, like grandmom dogs like that. So the first component that I think to her is affective component is about feeling. So I can say I love my dog. That is my feeling. Then behavioral component. So it seems like what you have in action or what is the action that you have for her. So in this case, I got the dog as the pets and spare time with her. So you have some action with the dog. Then how about cognitive components? How about the thinking process or belief that you have? So the answer is the dog can be a good guard and can be a good friend for you. So you have the belief on that case. So actually, when you develop the attitude, three component here is involved. Then we have the hierarchies of the effects. So not all attitude created in the simple ways. Sometimes You have some attitude that can be described as the cognitive formation process, which is you need to think a lot about them before you create the attitude. Or sometimes the attitude can be from the behavioral learning. So you just learn just it's good or bad. So if it's good, you're gonna develop the good attitude. If it's bad, you're gonna develop the negative attitude. Or sometimes attitude happen because of feeling like hedonic consumption. You're looking for something that you is providing you to have the happiness. So that is the attitude on the hedonic consumption. So we have the three types here. If you develop the attitude according to the cognitive information, that means you need to think a lot. We call high involvement. Again, involvement again. So high involvement, that means you have to pay attention. You have to focus a lot about the topics that you're doing. But low involvement is just opposite way. You just okay, know it. You just buy it without thinking too much. You might have some knowledge, like this product is good, but you did not take a look. What is the good things in there? What is the bad things in there? What is the ingredient? No, you do not go quite deep for the low involvement. You just know it. What this is available, and then if it's have, you're gonna buy it like this way or experiential hierarchy. So it's about feeling. So let's talk about this one before we go into the detail of three type of the hierarchy. So we need to differentiate between high and low involvement first. So high involvement is this actually the product that you have less frequent purchase. This means maybe for a long time that you just purchase it, like mobile phone. The cell phone that you use, you did not buy almost every month, almost every year. Maybe you just use one mobile phone to 3 or 5 years. So this is high involvement. Then it's more complex of thinking process because you need to think a lot about it. You need to looking for more information and you need to decide which one is good, which one is bad, right? So this is high involvement. Then require more time and effort to do the research. Trust me, many times you take a look about something a lot because you can have all information from the internet and then you just decide the time that you spend more is mean the more that you're gonna be high involvement person. Now, next one, the opposite side. How about low involvement? Low involvement is actually frequent purchase. You buy it maybe almost every day, almost every week. It's less costly. It's not quite expensive. That means you can buy it more time. Then usually bought with the minimum amount through the effort. So when you compare amount, low involvement just have lower amount than the high involvement process in general. So for now, we know what is the difference between high and low involvement. Then let's talk about high involvement hierarchy first. But before I'm going to the detail, please see this one first. High involvement and low involvement start with cognitive process. If you remember, we had ABC model, but it's not just have the order like ABC. High involvement it start from C, and low involvement start from C, which is cognitive too. But high involvement is continue with affect and then behavior, like on the pictures here. Then low involvement have cognitive first, but they're gonna have behavior and then affect. So it's CBA, but high involvement is CAB. What I gonna ask you? So I would ask you to try to understand the key point from each hierarchy. Like first one, the key point for high involvement hierarchy is actually this type of hierarchy is happen for the people who are a problem solver person. Like they train to keep thinking. They train to collect the information before making the decision. Then what will happen? For high involvement, normally consumer will form the belief at first, they will form the belief of the attitude object. Then you evaluate the belief to form the feeling. And the third one, you just present the things that you feel. Like you buy the product that offer the characteristic that you make you feel good. Like I have the cap, um, the ball cap in my car. Every time I have a good feeling on my cap because I can use for just prevent the sunlight and it's easy to drive, not just use the panel from the car. I don't like it. So I develop the feeling and then I do some actions in this case because it's easy for me to use the cap to wear the cap. So that is example. Then high involvement hierarchy is actually have high involved when you make decisions. Like I just mentioned before, you search a lot, you're looking for something a lot, you think a lot. Then mostly for this type of hierarchy, it result to be strong brand loyalty. Why is like that? Because you involve a lot. You have something with this product or this brand a lot. So you feel like you'll be part of them and then you create the royalty. So the key point for this high involvement is all of this one. So please remember the order. Please remember this type of hierarchy is problem solving person. It starts from belief, then feeling, then action or behavior. Then this type of hierarchy think a lot about information, think a lot about the process, and then compare the information. How about low involvement? Low involvement again, both high and low involvement start with the think or cognitive element, but this one is just switch. So after you think, you're gonna do it, and then you feel it. So if you are in this type, you usually not have the strong preference or no strong brand on it. But why I mentioned that you should have cognitive at first because uh, you usually have limited knowledge before you have do something. So you gonna have some information, but it's not too complex or too much like the high involvement. You just know, okay, I know that it's gonna have at least two brand of the potato chips in 7-Eleven, and that's all. So this is low involvement. Then after you form the evaluation, then you gonna do some action. Then you create the feeling. So they said attitude come from the behavioral learning because the behavioral or the action is happen in between cognitive and the affect. So I would say they said you gonna the attitude is happen in mostly the second step, which is behavior or do or the action. So the consumer might learn this product or this service is good or bad. It make me feel good or bad too. So mostly again, they focus on behaviors or do behavior element or do process. And then they said, if something happened in this case, the consumer might be able to change their mind easily, especially when you have simple stimuli response, like you have a good looking shelf, then the consumer might change their mind if they say something interesting, not just the things that he or she want to buy at first. Then choose the product that remember then compare all brand. So if you compare all brands, compare all information, you are high involvement hierarchy. But if you just select the product that you remember, is low involvement. And this is not quite okay for the marketers because this type of consumer are not motivated. It's not easy to encourage them to change them because they're just doing something simple. Okay, so the key point for low involvement is you need to understand the step. It starts from cognition, element, behavior, and then action. So it's CBA, right? So, but mostly they focus on the behavior element, which is do. So you focus on behavioral learning process here is you compare between this one gonna create good things or bad response to you, and then you just have the feeling. So low involvement hierarchy have the key point like this one. So another key point for this one is most consumer who have low involvement hierarchy, they kind of have just limited knowledge. Did not have like very strong or extensive knowledge like the first one. Okay. Last one, we have experimental hierarchy. So experimental hierarchy, they focus mainly on emotional reaction. So they start with feel or affect. So the order from the three component gonna be A, B, C. Like we can have this order A, B, C. So it starts from A, which is emotion. So affects the feeling come first, and then you think, and then you do. So this type of hierarchy, they said, is can be used for highlighting the idea of the product attribute. Like, what is the good characteristic? What is the good point in the product? Like, they have good looking design. They have good advertising system. They have easy to remember brand name like that. So they can highlight the idea from the attribute or the characteristic. And they also said consumer hedonic motivation and mood is happen because they focus mainly on the feel, like we just talked. And they said the mood when one see or hear marketing message influence how to remember it. Like you might have some product that mainly used for your emotion, like it's good for your emotion. So when you hear some sounds that remind you, you can remember it and you can recall the good feeling on it. So the key point for this hierarchy is they have the order A, B, C, and it starts from affect, behavior, and cognition component. And this type of hierarchy focus mainly on emotion. And you can highlight, you can make something special for this one by just describe the product attribute for creating the feeling. Okay, and then because they focus on emotion, so they can link to the mood and the feel of the consumer. Okay, let's just take a drink a little bit. Then attitude toward advertisement. So I would ask you, did you remember all advertisement? I would say no, right? Because if sometimes you watch television, it have many advertisement, but you just have some advertisement that link to your attitude. So we say we form the attitude toward the object rather than the products. So they said we form. It's not just the products. It's not just the object that you develop the attitude to them. It can be linked to the other things as well. Like every time you saw advertisement, you're gonna have advertiser or the actor or the actress on the advertisement. You develop the attitude to these people too. Then you can develop the attitude toward the performance, the result of the ads that you just saw is create a good feeling or not, or how emotion that is created, like is touching to your heart or not. Like for Thai insurance company, they always do the advertisement that have good feeling or touching feeling, or the ad have excitement or not. Sorry, or it is just simple, or it make you feel energetic or feeling exciting, sorry. Then the context also linked to forming the attitude too. So I would say for this page, the attitude the of the advertisement is not just focused on the products. It's maybe from the advertiser performance of the ads, the mood or the feeling of the ads, the effects of the arousal, or also the context, the letters or the sentence that you provide. Like I have the question here. When you see this advertisement, what is the things that you see first? You might see the actors first advertising. His name is Ananda. Then think about the background. They create the mood. Then they use the hot color tone, which is good for the food. Then they also have the context. They also have the products that they use for promotion. Then think about the food in his hand. So it's gonna have good looking uh, food like noodle. It's have very good looking. It's not just like the real, right? Then why he is naked? Because he should draw attention from you, especially for women. So it's linked to the sexual things that we just talked. So we have sexual symbolism as well for this one. So it's draw attention. It's draw attention, and then you train to have the good attitude toward this ad because of all things together. It's not just the products. So advertisement can create a powerful feeling. It depends on the type of the products or depends on the intention of your uh, products too. Like if you have a good product, then you want to show that every time the consumer consume your product, they're gonna feel happy. So you need to create some ads that present the upbeat feeling. Or sometimes you want to uh, if you are the owner of the ring, like wedding rings, then you might create a warm feeling. Like having these wedding rings, you might feel warm forever, like that. Or sometimes you do some campaign about drunk driving. So you might just present an severe accident like the car hit the crash car like that in order to develop negative feeling to remind or to warn the driver who drive with the alcohol, and they said just drive, don't drink, like that. So key point is create a powerful feeling on the ad. It can be upbeat, warm, or negative, like this one. What do you feel at first? The first feeling that you're gonna have is warm or comfortable. Why? Because the tone of the color, the setting of the pictures is linked to be just warm feeling. So then you can have some words to express the idea of this advertisement as well. Then how we form the attitude. So on very first page, I describe because attitude for me attitude is kind of learning, so you can have the concept of behavioral learning theories in here, like you form the attitude by using the classical conditioning, like you repeat it many times and then you create the attitude that is strong, or you're going to have positive attitude to something because it's repeat many times. Like for example, if you keeping good thing, if you keep doing good things and you have the compliment, you have a good words from the people around you many times, so it's repeated. Next time you have the attitude, the good attitude to do a good thing. So this is classical conditioning because you do it again and again. And how about instrumental conditioning? So instrumental conditioning is like you have the reward and punishment, or sometimes you can link to the modeling as well for instrumental conditioning. Okay. Then attitude commitment. So you might surprise that actually the attitude can have three levels according to the involvement. So we have first one, the top one, which is internalization. So internalization is the highest level, but it is deep-seated attitude or very deep attitude. And if something have in the deep level, it's not easy to change. We call this is internalization. Second one is identification. So identification is the middle level of the attitude and is formed to be the same as the other people. Like the other people said, have just shirt, like t-shirt for working is okay. So you might say, okay, I will develop my attitude to wearing the t-shirt. That is okay too. So that is identification. Last one, compliance. So compliance is very uh, just shallow or just outside, not quite deep like the first one. So this is the lowest level. That is consumer develop the attitude because they just want to have the reward or avoid the punishment. So I said it's very superficial, it's very thin. It can be changed very easy. So internalization, identification, and also compliance. Let's take a look about this carefully for the quiz. Then next one, let's talk about consistency principles. Consistency is mean stable. So the concept of consistency principle is that generally we should have the attitude that is stable. One day, if your attitude is not stable, you need to find some ways to maintain or to have the stable states. The first theory that I will talk is cognitive dissonance theories. So cognitive dissonance theories, they're talking about normally consumers are looking for the the things that going very well among your idea, feeling, and the behaviors. And if some component or if some idea or feeling or behavior is changed, so you trying to create something new or you try to adjust something to resolve the unstable state that we call dissonance. So again, dissonance is unstable. So what you need to do, you need to change some part of thoughts, feeling, and behaviors to maintain the stable state. So I think if I talk about this example, it should be more clear. Think about this one. Think about when you are a smoking person, and then in the past you okay about it. One day you have new information that smoking can cause cancer or smoking can cause a problem of reproduction. Then you have new information. Then what you need to do? You need to think about the ways to resolve the the ways to reduce the dissonance because the belief that you have, the attitude that you have toward the cigarette, the smoking. Normally, you have a good attitude towards smoking, but you have new information, and then it make you feel like it's not normal. It's just need to think. So they answer here. They can explain that is cognitive dissonance can resolve or can uh, complete by choosing between either satisfying or keeping smoking. Like you don't care, smoke, that's fine. Or you just stop smoking. So in this case, your attitude can change from dissonance to be stable. So it's just example of the cognitive dissonance. Or sometimes you might think like this picture. If you think about having an items from the office, so you may have two person talking to you. Like the white part gonna be you should not steal the office supply, or the devil part they can think, oh, it's okay, why you care? So you have these two situations, but finally you need to select just one thing to maintain the attitude. So how we can apply into the marketing? You can apply actually maybe before purchase or post purchase as well. So let's talk about post purchase first. So sometime or many times you buy something and you still have think, okay, this is the correct choice or not. Like you buy two type of orange juice, two brand of orange juice. You taste both of them and it's make you feel good. But one day you just select just one brand, then you might have some issues in your mind, like why I just select just one, because the other one is still okay. So in this case, you might create the dissonance solution because you feel like, oh, you still have the other choice that is okay too. So what marketer gonna do? They gonna just confirm the consumers like your choice is the best. Maybe just use some explanation or some levels that is this choice is great for you. So and then just communicate to the consumer that is you select the good one. Or here, this is the wedding ring. The vendor names Spence Diamond. So Spence Diamond just used the cognitive dissonance to the decision making process. So normally, wedding ring is not cheap, right? It's very expensive. Then, if you are the guys and you want to buy the wedding rings to your girls, so you might think, do I need to spend a lot of money for the wedding rings, or just normal rings, not have the diamond here? So the marketer just know this concept, and this dissonance might happen when you make some decision because you choose you need to select between expensive one or just normal one. So in this case, what you're gonna do, the marketer just provide more detail. She's the one you said you need a sign. So that's mean please choose this one because this one gonna be something special for your girlfriend. So they can send a message like this one to solve the problem. Okay, before I'm going to the next theory, I just want to point here, which is cognitive dissonance harmony. It's just about when you doing something and you have the attitude, then your attitude in one day is maybe not stable. So when it's not stable, you need to select some actions that you need to do to maintain the stability. So in this case, it's like you having smoking for a long time, and one day you know more information, which is smoking cause cancer. Smoking have the problem about reproduction system. Smoking is not good looking, so you have many things. Then after at first you okay about smoking, but after you hear information, you need to select which way you need to go. After you select, the dissonance is reduced because you already make that decision. But however, the attitude can change again, maybe next day if you have more information again. But finally, you need to make the decision. So we call cognitive dissonance theories. And I have another one we call self-perception theories. So self-perception theories have the concept in terms of we need to maintain consistency or we need to maintain the stabilities of the attitude by having a positive attitude toward the objects. So these theories just said you trying to give the good or the positive attitude to the object. So many technique that can be applied, especially when you are the buyer. I think you have been applied one of these technique before. First one, foot in the door technique. Foot in the door technique start with when you agree or when you accept small thing first, then you train to accept the bigger things or the large thing at last. Like your friends just ask, Art, can I have the lecture note for today? I think, oh, that's okay. Then maybe he keeping asking again, and then finally he just asked, Art, can I have the whole class for this semester? I say, oh, I would keep the positive attitude by just say yes, like this one. Then we can have low ball technique. Low ball technique is happen when you agree to purchase something at first and then the seller said, I'm sorry that I cannot give you that price right now because I just misunderstanding about the price, but the price is actually a little bit more expensive. So what you're gonna do? You feel like you make decision at first, which is you want to buy at original price, then you feel like you need to maintain the positive attitude. So you need to accept even it have the higher price. So we call this one is low ball technique. Low ball technique is used a lot when you have some situation like buying the car, I would say. At first, you might have this price which is very low, like you're gonna buy the new car, and then they said, "Oh, we agree with this price, but let me check with the boss first, because we might have some thing need to check more." Then you talk to your boss, but actually it is a trick. Then you come back and then you said to the consumer, "I'm sorry, after checking, this car have is the new model. It have something luxury, so the price is not like we just have at first. So I'm sorry about that, and would you reconsider about it?" So you train to be accept the higher price because you make the decisions and have a good attitude to that products already. Last one, door interface technique. Door interface technique is always happen for the good guys. I'm not like that one, but sometimes some people trying to maintain the positive attitude, like they were asked to help or to buy something, and then you said no, sorry. Then they come again and ask again. They might say just a little bit, so please help me. So what happened in your mind? You might think, oh, it's not easy to refuse or it's not easy to say no's again. So you trying to think about it and say you trying to accept the second request. But I would say if you don't want it, just say no. If you let something in your mind, you train to buy it, trust me, because it's fit with the self-perception theory, which is you need to maintain the positive attitude. Like I mentioned, it's not easy to say no for the second and the third time. But if you don't really want to have that product, please say no. Then, social judgment theories. Social judgment theories is talking about at first you have the reference information, reference attitude. Like for this advertisement that I would like to ask you to watch first before we're talking about this one. The girl that have the red shirt have the famous brand of the peanut butter. Then she just think this is the best one, best taste, best flavor. Then the another girl just talk. Oh, you can have the new peanut butter but have the better taste. At first, she might not think that is correct, but after she tried to taste it, she said, "Oh, that's is delicious." So Jeep is better. So she changed their mind because of she have more information. And after that, she decided to accept the new information. The things that happen in this case we call social judgment theories. Many students just get confused between the names, which is thinking about the judgment from the society. No, it's not like that. The key point is we have the initial information and then you have new information. After that, you need to decide, you need to accept the new information or to reject the new information. If you accept the new information, you create the new frame of the reference. But if you reject, you still have the initial idea that you have in the past. Okay. Then, balance theories. This one is used a lot in marketing world because it's very easy to see the result. So balance theory have three things in the structures, which is the person, which is consumers. Then we have the attitude to the object, and you have the perceptions to the person or the object. So let's see this one. So you have three things. That is the reason why we call triad. Triad is mean three. So balance theory need to have three things. So in this case, we have the consumer, which is you. Then you have the athletics. You have the swimmer named Michael Phelps, and then the Kellogg's use just Michael Phelps as the brand ambassador for conflict. So in this case, three objects is here. And then what they're gonna think about the what is the attitude in between the link. So in this case, you have a good attitude to Michael Phelps, so you're gonna have the plus symbol. And Michael Phelps is agreed to be the presenter of the conflict. So Michael will have good attitude. Then you like consuming conflict with Michael Phelps at the cover. So you develop the positive attitude too. So how we know is this balanced or unbalanced? We can do this by you think about the symbol, and then you do multiply like I just present here. Positive multiplied by positive multiplied by positive, the result is positive. If three things have the result as positive, it means it's balanced. But if the result is negative, you can make the conclusion which is unbalanced. So, like this one, think about the left one first. You have Alex, which is the girl, Raleigh, which is the boys, and Earring. So in this case, it's not about the products for marketing, but just for the daily life like behavior. So Alex have positive attitude like Alex like Raleigh, so she had the positive attitude. Raleigh like wearing earring, so Raleigh have the positive attitude to wearing earring. But Alex don't like people who have the earrings on your ears, so they create a negative attitude. So I would say at first, what is the result of this one? So the result of this one is positive multiplied by positive multiplied by negative. So positive multiplied by positive is positive, right? Positive multiplied by negative is gonna be negative. So if it's negative, it is unbalanced result. Again, we know this one have unbalance because the sign like positive when it's multiplied by positive, when it's multiplied by negative, the result is negative. So if the result is negative, you need to do something to maintain the consistency, to maintain the stability, or in other terms, to change the result from negative to be positive, from unbalanced to be balanced. So in this case, I would review this again. So Alex want to date with Riley. So she developed the positive attitude. Okay. Then Riley wear earrings. So Riley have positive attitude to earrings. So he developed the positive sides toward earrings. Then Alex doesn't like the men who wear earring and negative feeling towards earrings. So Alex don't like earrings. So again, just for the left part, positive multiplied by positive multiplied by negative, the result is negative, which is unbalanced. Then what Alex gonna do? Alex gonna do by four things here, but I will focus just for first two things. First one, what you can do, what Alex gonna do? Alex gonna change her mind to don't like rally. So when you change from the positive between Alex and Raleigh to the negative, what is the result of the first triad from your right hand side? The result is going to be negative multiplied by negative multiplied by positive. Negative multiplied by negative is turned to be positive, and positive multiplied by positives again, the result is positive. It is balanced. So again, if the result is positive, it means it's balanced. Or the other things that Alex can do is she can change the attitude to earring from negative to positive. For now, it's all positive. So the result is positive, and this is balanced. And the third one, what Alex can do is Alex can keep the neutral between rally and what uh what's happened in the third triad is rally just feeling neutral with the earrings, but it's not quite common because mostly when you want to change the attitude, you need to change maybe from positive to negative or maybe from negative to be positive. So in this case, I don't think it's going to be important for us to understand for the neutral. So, but for the textbook, they said she might try to neutralize the relationship between Larry's and earring, like just to be ignored. And how about the result? The result is changed from unbalanced to balanced with the neutral situation. But for me, it's not quite clear for having that type of situation, but it can happen. On the last one, Alex just break the relationship with the rally or not trying to have any relationship. So, but for me, just trying to focus on the first two triad from the right hand side. Okay. In conclusion, balance theories. So balance theory it doesn't say what Alex gonna do, but it's just describe what Alex can do. So it depends on Alex again. Next one, basking reflectory. So in marketing world, what you can do for having an attention from the consumer is like you can do this type. So you can have a good attitude from the consumers by creating the product that present the things that they feel or they like. So they said consumer often present something that they like publicly, like just present to the other people. So they would say they're gonna use the successful people or successful topics that famous at that time and every time you use that product, you feel like you are a big fan. Then you present yourself to have this product and you create a positive attitude. It's like the first pictures. It's from the movie's name Suriyo Thai. So at that time, Singha Beer just do this limited edition. So if you're a big fan of Suriyo Thai movies, so you need to have this one and you develop a good attitude. Or if you're a big fan of soccer or football and you like Shanatip, so you can have the jersey like this one. Every time you wear this jersey, you present you have a good attitude to Shanatip. But be careful. If the actor or actress or the things that you use have the bad reputation or bad things, it might change to bad ways. So people might not develop a still develop a good attitude. They might change their mind to have the negative attitude. Like in this case, Tiger Woods have the sexual problem or the crime about fighting to the other neighbors. So many products just turn him down, and because at that time, the bad things that he did gonna reflect to the products because they're gonna develop the negative attitude to the products clearly if you don't change the actors or actress. And then the last topic that I will present to you is the attitude model. So in marketing perspectives, marketing world, we can use the attitude model to predict the final results from the consumers. But in this class, we did not explain a lot about it. I just want to provide you the whole or the overview of the information of attitude models. So they said attitude assessment can be complex. So it's not just one single things that create the attitude. It may be the many. They also said product and service might have many attributes, like many characters that you need to concern. Like when you're gonna select the university, you might think about the famous, uh, the fame, like the popularities, the academic reputation, like how good of the lecturers, how good of the university, the environment, the cost, or the transportations, many things to develop to the attitude to having the university. And then attitude are affected by the other factors. Like sometimes you also need some people to approve your decision too. So attitude can have some effects too. And attitude models help identify influencer. It can help you it can let you know who gonna be the person who need to talk or who is the person who need to manage, to control. Let's talk about the first one. We call multi-attribute attitude model. So multi-attribute, like the name said, so they have many attributes, they have many factors. So they said for this model, they have three key elements or three components, which is attribute, belief, and importance. Like this one, you might not have a big picture. So let's move to the next one. The first thing is like they have the attribute, which means what is the character that you use to select the university? Like we have four university here, Smith, Princeton, Rutgers, and Northland. So then you think about the attribute that you need to think, academic reputation, all women college, proximity to home, athletics, or party atmosphere, library. So this is attribute. So see, they have many attributes. That is the reason why they call multi-attribute. Then belief. Belief is how you give the score to each attribute. Like think about Smith from 1 to 9. What is the score that you're gonna give for academic reputation? So you give the score for each university. And then how about importance? So important is mean the weight, the importance, or the in your perception, do you think this is important or not? Like here, if something that is important, you're gonna keep the score high. Like for this case, Chandra think about all women and keep the score is 7, which means he think having all women is the most important. Then academic reputation gonna be the second, which have the score is 6, like this one. And athletics gonna be the least one, the smallest one, because Jesus gave number 1 on it. And then how we calculate the attitude. So you need to use number for the importance and then multiply with each university. And then finally, you collect the score for the Smith, for Princeton, for Rutgers, and for Northland. So for some of you who just get confused, I can explain to you right now. So in this case, for example, let's talk about the Smith University. Attitude score is 163. It's from 6 multiplied by 8 plus 7 multiplied by 9 plus 4 multiplied by 2 plus 3 multiplied by 2 plus 1 multiplied by 1 plus 2 multiplied by 1 and 5 multiplied by 7, and all together to be 163. Princeton, the same thing. So you need to use 6 multiplied by 9 plus 7 multiplied by 3, 4 multiplied by 2 plus 3 multiplied by 2 until 5 multiplied by 9. So the total score is 142. So in this case, what you're going to select? You're going to select the highest attitude score, which is Smith. So Chandra gonna go to the Smith University. How good of this model? This model can be used for prediction because it can think about all possible attributes or possible things that a consumer gonna perceive, and you can do some calculation which is not biased. And also the importance parameters that you need to set, because it can set about which one is more important than the other one. They don't think it has the same level. Then what is the application? So first one, capitalize the relative advantage. So if you know that if you have this type of result and you are the owner of the Smith University, and you know most of the consumer think about Smith University in terms of academic reputation and all women, you can use these two things to be announced for all people. This is a strong point that you can have. Then strengthen the perceived product or attribute linkage. So if the consumer doesn't associate a certain attribute with the brand, so you can do more work. So in this case, if you have a big library on the Smith University, but consumer just perceive just 7 from 9, and you think, actually, we need to have very strong perception from the consumer, it should be 9. So you can use this result and do something more, like maybe doing some advertisement for Smith University. That is, we have a modern or high-tech library, and to change the score from 7 to 9, like this one. Then you can add a new attribute, because if you think this attribute is not enough and some consumer just think the other things, you can add the other things to here too. Like maybe um, other than the attribute here, Smith University can add the the salary of the graduate, the money that the graduate gonna have, like this one. And last one, influence competitor rating. Like we can use the comparative advertising for compete with your competitors. Like in this case, you might want to fight with the Princeton. Let's say I am a owner of the Smith University, and Princeton have better in some attribute than Smith, like academic reputation. and also the library. But you have the other things that better, maybe just all women. So in this case, you might not say something that you are lower than Princeton. You just say if you want to have the safe environment that we have all women in the university, please select Smith like this one because Smith have score number 9 for all women attribute and Princeton did not have it. They just got 3. Or you can compare more. Like among these top 4 universities, Smith is the safest because all women is just admitted like this one. So the key point is you just focus on the things that you do the best by comparing to the other university. Next one, Fishbane models. So Fishbane model is taught a lot in the marketing and in the consumer behaviors. So Fishbane, this is also the classical models too. Fishbane said, like, when you want to predict the attitude, you need to have silent belief, which is the belief that one people have to the object. You need to have the attribute object linkage. Like you need to have the attribute, then it's linked to the products. Like for example, um, if I need to have the attitude result from consuming the noodles, I might need to have the attribute on the taste of the soup, the texture of the noodles, like this one. And finally, you're gonna have the evaluation. Like in this case, they will talk in terms of intention to have this product. So again, we have the belief, you have the attribute, you have the intention. So all the things here can use for doing the overall attitude toward the objects. So what I need you to remember for fish-based model, they have silent belief, they have objective attribute linkage, and they have evaluation. And they focus for just intention, not actually for the real behavior. That is the bad point for this model that I'm going to talk to you later too. Then, according to what we just talked, many people said the classic fish-based model is not quite good because they have some part that they need to change. So they create the new, I would say it's modified version. So we call theories of reasoned action. So the action should have the reason. So theory of reasoned action is considered to the other things that you need to add to. So they said, Fitch-based model just focus on intention of the product, but actually theory of reasoned action said you need to focus on the behavioral intention, like the intention to buy the products, not just the intention of the products or the intention to consume the products. Because fish-based model just focus on intention of the product. So they said it should be better if you can focus on the intention of the behavior. In this case, it can be purchased or it can be consumed like that. Then think about the social pressures, like how the other people gonna affect to your attitude too. So you need to think about the power of the people in purchase decision too. And the last one, attitude towards buying. Like actually you need to measure the attitude toward the act of buying, not just the product. Because Fitch-brain model, they just have evaluation in terms of intention of the product, but they did not focus on the action of buying. I would say, other terms, fish-based model just focus on intention on that product, but they did not care about intention of buying, intention of consuming, which is not like the real things. So they said this one to this theory, and they also said fish-based model have something bad too that you need to concern, which is first, fish-based model did not aware with the outcome. Like I say, fish-based model when you use it, if you're doing something with diet pill, the pill for reduce the the weight. In Fishbane model, they're gonna think about just intention for diet pill, but actually you would say you should focus on the outcome of the behavior, like how much of the weight that is reduced when using the diet pills, not just like intention for the diet pill, like this one. Then, Fishman model didn't concern about unintentional behavior, like sometimes you might have sudden or impulse action. Like sometimes you have talked to salesperson and they gave you this new information and you just buy the product at that time, or you're looking for something new. So in this case, Fishman model is not focused on unintentional behavior. They focus just for intention behavior. The third one is not consider about the attitude that might not lead to to the consumption. They think um, everything gonna link to the consumption, but in reality, some attitude, some part, sorry, some component, some idea, some factor might not link to the consumption. Maybe just two or three things from five. So, but Fishbane model think about all five factors are all important. And next one, Fishbane model did not care about the time. So think about sometimes you want to predict the attitude in the past at that time, and in the future might not be the same, but they think we should not focus on the time frame. That is the obstacle or is limitation. Last one, it doesn't differentiate between consumer direct person experience and indirect experience. So Fishman model did not concern about personal issues that you're gonna have, like experience that you have or indirect experience. They just ignore it. So please take a look about this carefully again. This all point that we have some drawback or some limitations from Fishbane model. So in summary, attitude is very powerful than you think, and it can last for long and it can be predicted. The way that you form the attitude is have many too. You can form the attitude when you have the high involvement differently from the low involvement or even the experiential involvement. So different hierarchy can develop the attitude different ways. People try to maintain the stable state of your attitude. If you have unstable state, what you're gonna do? You will change some part of them to maintain the stability. So from this point, I think this quite complex for you because it seems like more psychology, it seems like more scientific for explanation. But please rewatch, and if you still unclear in any point, let me know again, and I'm willing to talk or explain to you more in the live session. And I think for this video is all, and we should done here. Thank you so much for watching.